at a new life.
Meet the kids and learn how you can become a foster or adoptive parent. To learn more, visit adoptpakids.org. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
9:12 in the morning. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. Sherene says, boy, you can tell it's a Monday. We're just standing around like zombies here, aren't we? It is Indiana in the morning here on WCCS. Sherene Hess is with us, Cami Anderson as well. And our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted best personal injury law firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. The Armstrong, Indiana Clarion Drug and Alcohol Commission has opened it up once more for the Bernie Smith Scholarship. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you both with us here today. The Bernie Smith Scholarship, as I said, it's near and dear to the hearts of everyone here, simply because of Bernie's longtime connection both to WDAD across the way and to WCCS here, but county commissioners, and of course, we always call it ACDAC. I know you're not supposed to say that, Cami, but Armstrong, Indiana Clarion Drug and Alcohol Commission. It really is a special thing, isn't it?
It is. Bernie was a board member of ours for years, and we loved and appreciated Bernie, as did a lot of other people, and we're happy to do this in his memory.
Yeah. So explain it. What is the Bernie Smith Scholarship?
The Bernie Smith Scholarship is a scholarship of $1,500, $1,000?
I think it's $1,000.
It's $1,000. I'm sorry, $1,000. One student from each county is chosen for a scholarship to a university, and they should be a senior in high school when they apply. They can also be a senior in homeschooling or cyber school. We will take those applications also, and the students should exemplify the mission and vision of the Drug and Alcohol Commission as far as helping people that are suffering with drug abuse and promoting prevention of drug and alcohol abuse.
Yeah. And Sherene, of course, Bernie, a longtime Indiana County Commissioner as well, and you're a county commissioner. That's a legacy, isn't it?
It certainly is. You know, Bernie was in his third term when he passed, and it's well over 15 years ago now. And it was a shock it was sudden, and it was a shock. And we all know how much Bernie cared about the entire community, and especially youth. And I think that's why this scholarship is so special. It's really aimed at youth, both in terms of those who are aware of the situation of, substance use disorders, and also those who have families suffering with that, which is sometimes the same thing. We often get applications from students whose families are going through that situation. So this is very special. We have a very, a nice committee from a person from each of the three counties, Armstrong, Indiana, and Clarion. And we're very serious about how we rank the applications. We have a rubric, as they say. We take time to really read through those and try to, understand the situations from where those folks are coming from. So Bernie was a family man. He loved his kids. He had two daughters, and they're still doing great things themselves. And his wife Gladys is still with us here, and sometimes she makes it to the award ceremony, which is very special. So Bernie is so well known. I mean, even all these years later, people are like, "Oh, I have a story about Bernie Smith."
Well, Bernie told stories in his lifetime as well.
Certainly.
Both as a photojournalist and as a radio broadcaster. And there was really nothing quite like Bernie in a banquet setting because it just, they came together nicely, didn't they?
Yes.
They certainly did. All right. So Cami, let's talk about Armstrong, Indiana Clarion Drug and Alcohol Commission and what you do, because you said the scholarship award winners should exemplify the mission of your organization. So how would they do that? What are some of the things that we want to highlight about the association?
Well, what we do is we're the single county authority for the three counties that we represent, and we provide prevention, education, intervention, treatment, case management, and recovery support services for people with substance use disorders. So usually the kids that apply have had experience in the prevention end of things. They have been involved in the SAD group in their schools or leadership groups, and they have been a peer to other people that that might be at risk of falling into a substance use disorder, which really can be anyone. They've promoted our message to be healthy and to not to attempt to use any drugs and alcohol. So yeah, usually the kids are active in different groups or have done something around the substance use disorder addiction field.
People who get caught in the addiction cycle, and it becomes a cycle, those folks, of course, have great difficulty breaking out of it, and that's where your organization comes in. But when you can catch them as students before the problems start, which is what organizations such as SAD do and some of those other groups, boy, that's a great advantage in the lives of kids, isn't it?
It certainly is. It certainly is. It's best, of course, if there is no experimenting in the high school years or attempts to use, or what we see is a lot of kids start with smoking or vaping. That's usually the first entrance into addiction a lot of times, and then they just begin to use more and more of other types of drugs and experiments. So prevention's the key. Abstinence is the best thing that any of us can do. But yeah, the kids would be, if they've been responsible and trying to give the message to other students that you should not use or should not experiment with drugs, that would be the best message of all.
Absolutely. Sherene, when we were kids, I was a kid long before you were a kid.
I don't know about that.
But when we were kids, Sherene, it seemed like alcohol was the thing that we were warned most about. Smoking cigarettes and alcohol. We were told about that constantly when we were kids.
Sure.
And I know it's not different now. Kids are still told about avoiding alcohol and avoiding cigarettes and smoking of any kind. It just seems that in today's day and age, it's more prevalent because it's more available to kids.
That's probably true, and I agree wholeheartedly with Cami that prevention is really the optimal situation. But we know that today's society is very complex, and a lot of people with the substance use issue are coming from a place of trauma and a lot of hurt. And so we try to really focus too on removing the stigma that's associated with substance use. It's a disease. It's not a moral failing. Mm-hmm. And that's what we want people to understand, that if you're in this cycle, there are things here to help. So that's where the treatment and the all of those things come into play. So I think that's a big focus of mine, is to help people understand, like, there's help available. Don't give up. It's pretty tough, though, and I think we all have a family member, someone very close to us, who are going through this, and it's important for those family members and loved ones and friends to understand. That's what we try to do. I mean, education is really key, too. This isn't something that you sit down at lunch and you start to talk about, the latest and greatest thing in substance use disorders. It is really a tough subject. So one of the things we want to do is get it out there and make it a relatable subject, so that, because everybody knows somebody that can use the help. So I'm really proud to be a member of the committee for this scholarship, because it has helped me to understand what students go through. My kids graduated some years ago, and you talk about how things change. And so it's different then from just even a few years ago. We have drugs on the street now that are very dangerous. I mean, can be lethal in the first use. Mm-hmm. That is definitely not where we want our kids to be.
Sure.
So we have a lot of people working on it and trying to help. And this is just one way that we can hopefully get youth involved. They can be leaders in this too. They do not have to take a back seat. They can definitely be leaders.
So the Bernie Smith Scholarship is available. I'm assuming, Cami, that for most students are going to learn about it through their guidance counselor, but there's a very good chance that maybe one or two won't. So what's the information? How can they apply?
Right. If their parents are listening or the students are listening, you can go to our website. It's aicdac.org. Go to the website. You can pull down the application on there, fill it out, and send it in. Our due date is March 15th. So we would like as many applications as we can get. And I think some of the schools were under the belief at one time that they could only nominate one student per school, but there can be many students from each school nominated, and the more the better.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Very good. Well, the Bernie Smith Scholarship is there for students. We hope they take advantage of it. Ladies, thanks so much for coming in to visit with us.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, 101.1 FM and AM 1160. Speaking of students, our star students are coming in from Indiana Area School District next, our elementary school students from all four of the district's buildings, and we'll visit with them in our next half hour. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, 101.1 FM and AM 1160 at 23 minutes after 9 o'clock. Good morning to you. Josh is in the news.